What's up, guys? It's Master Joda here, back with a Logbait deck that we're going to be playing today. This is the original Logbait, but it does have the Valkyrie switched in for the Knight and the Tesla Tower switched in for the Inferno. So getting into this first match, we're playing up against a pretty good player. He has ranked in the 1,000 to 2,000 range in the world, and he's playing an Electro Giant deck. I don't know what you guys think about Electro Giant, but I think it's a very aggravating card. So let's go ahead and get into this gameplay. So with this Logbait deck, you really just want to play pretty aggressive. You have a matchup advantage against the heavier decks in single elixir time, so you want to use that to your advantage, because you're going to have more defense in single elixir because you can defend with the lighter cards. So if you'll see here, he's already going with an Electro Giant push. We're going to be able to answer this pretty nicely. We got the Princess set up in the opposite lane. We have the Valkyrie and the Tesla dealing with the E-Giant, and that's going to be a pretty easy defense starting off the game right there. So the big thing with this deck, guys, is you always, well, pretty much when you're on the defense, you're going to want to play that Princess in the opposite lane because they're going to have to expend a certain amount of elixir to deal with that Princess, and it's not going to be hitting the tower that they are attacking, so that's going to be aggravating for them to deal with. So if you'll see on my defenses, I'll almost always be dropping that Princess in the opposite lane of whatever their attack, wherever their attack is coming from. So we actually outcycled their arrows right there, got some nice chip on the tower, and we're just going to let that Mega Minion go. Right here, I was kind of shaking my head because I thought he was going to have enough elixir to go in for the E-Giant, so I didn't think I was going to be able to defend that as nice as that first time, but apparently he didn't have enough elixir for that right then. So we just take care of that Night Witch pretty good. He's got a Lumberjack coming at me. And as you can see again, just putting that Princess in the opposite lane, that's going to be quite aggravating for him, getting some good chip with that Princess from the opposite lane. We got the Valkyrie right there, and then we're going to pull that Giant away with the Tesla at the very last second. He does get some pretty nice damage here, and this is just where the E-Giant shines, you know, in that double elixir, when the E-Giant can just get so much tower damage on you without even getting to the tower. You know, he's got that area effect that is just kind of OP in my opinion, but it is a new card, so that's how those kinds of cards usually are. So since he's already got a lot of damage on that right tower, we're going to let that Lumberjack go right there. That's totally fine to do in these situations, guys. When they already have a lot of tower damage on one of your towers, it's totally fine to even out the damage, and because you don't want to waste elixir trying to defend a healthy tower. You need to use that health to your advantage. We're just going to distract that Mini P.E.K.K.A with the Ice Spirit. He's got another big push coming right here. And guys, since I know he has lightning in this deck, I'm going to start placing my Teslas a little bit higher so he won't be able to hit my Tesla tower and my Princess tower at the same time. He's going to have to pick or choose which one. If he wants the tower damage, he's going to have to miss the Tesla, and that means that his E-Giant won't be getting to my tower. And really, guys, you just play good defense with this deck and outcycle the opponent's answer to your bait, and that is how you win matchups. As you can see, I've just gotten a lot of chip damage over time, no huge amounts of damage all at once, just chip, chip, chip. He actually gave me some good rocket value there, and that is a big thing we're going to be talking about later on in the video, is rocket value and when to use your rockets. And as you can see here, he kind of went in for a desperation play right there with that Electro Giant, and we're going to be able to defend that pretty nicely. We're just going to go in for a Goblin Gang to defend our Valkyrie right there. And he's just kind of spamming cards at the bridge, kind of freaking out. I actually threw a rocket there just to be safe. I probably didn't need to do that. I probably could have defended with something a little more efficient, but just to be safe, I threw the rocket there. And right then, he didn't have an answer to my Goblin Barrel, so that was GG's. So that's the end of the first match, and that was a pretty solid player there. So let's get on into the next match, which is going to be a minor control deck. So for this match, guys, he has a faster cycle than you. So these kinds of matchups are really tough to break through, because they're always going to have an answer up for your Goblin Barrel, especially if they have, Log in their deck. And a deck like this that this guy's playing, he has Valkyrie and Log, and Valkyrie is also a really good answer to Goblin Barrel. So pretty much, as you'll see later on in the match, if you realize that you can't break through their defense and you just can't outcycle their answers, you're going to have to fall back to rocket cycling, which is a big part of this deck. If you're playing a matchup to where you've tried and tried and tried and you can't break through, you're going to have to get comfortable with being able to rocket cycle your opponent. Because in a lot of these matchups, if you wait and wait and wait till the late game to try and keep breaking through with your Goblin Barrel, by the time you realize that you have to rocket cycle in that late game, like the last minute to minute and a half in the match, the opponent's going to have too much chip damage on you, and you're not going to be able to catch up with your rocket cycles. So you need to find out in the first, minute and a half to 2 minutes, maybe a little bit into double elixir, you're going to have to find out if you're going to be able to break through your opponent's deck. And if you just realize that, okay, this guy's got, multiple answers to my Goblin Barrel, he's got good answers to my other bait in the deck, and he's got a really fast cycle, you're going to have to realize that you're just going to have to play very strong defense. And when you get good defenses, you're going to have to go in for that rocket. If you can get value with the rocket, that will be optimal. If he places something behind the tower and you can get some tower damage and some good value from, hitting, say, a Valkyrie or any value that he gives you behind the tower, that would be great. But sometimes you're just going to have to go in for that naked rocket and get that tower damage, because it's going to be crucial when it comes to the late game and you're trying to eke each other out for the damage. See, look, right there, I went in for that rocket. I'm starting to realize, okay, it's double elixir. I'm definitely not outcycling his answers now, and it's time to start rocket cycling. So his win condition in this deck, guys, is wall breakers. So you actually have pretty good answers to wall breakers. A Log and an Ice Spirit combination will kill wall breakers. You got your Ice Spirit and Princess combination that will kill wall breakers. And most importantly, the biggest answer to your deck for wall breakers is Tesla, of course. That's just going to be a great answer. It'll take both of the wall breaker hits and then some. So if you'll see right here, he actually went in for the miner to try and take out the Tesla. So that's going to be a pretty easy defense right there. He actually sniped my Princess with a Tesla there, so that was well played on his part. And as you can see, we always know when he's about to go in for the wall breakers. We just pre-place that Tesla. That's totally fine. He doesn't have a spell like Fireball. He's got a slower spell like Poison, so he's not going to be able to, just take my Tesla out super quick. And it's really hard for him to break through with his deck as well, because we have a lot of answers for him. We have the Goblin Gang to catch his miners. We have the Valkyrie for his Valkyrie. We have the Tesla for his wall breakers. And the big advantage that we have over him in this matchup is that, his big spell was a poison that does about 300 damage to the tower, and the rocket does, 530 or whatever. So he's just not going to be able to keep up with that damage. So as you can see, I think we've rocketed 4 or 5 times at this point, and he's just not breaking through, guys. I mean, look at that Tesla's just roasting everything. We have that Goblin Gang catch the miner. Goblin Gang is a great answer to miner. 1 rocket away here. We actually double stack the Teslas. I mean, look, guys, he just can't break through that, and it's really frustrating for an opponent, when he's hasn't been hit by the opponent's win condition the entire time. He just gets rocket cycled out, but it's a totally valid way to win if you can't break through opponent's deck. So let's get into the next game, guys. So this next game is we are going to be playing we're going to be showing a balloon cycle deck. This guy, he placed in the top 10,000 last season. Really solid player. But let's see how we deal with a fast balloon cycle deck. I don't know if you guys play against this a lot, but these decks can be really aggravating, especially for bait players. You know, they got the bomb tower dealing that splash. They pretty much always have bar barrel and some other small spell. So double small spells can be aggravating for any kind of log bait to go up against, and especially the bomb tower can be aggravating. So we're just going to go in. Pretty much the start and play with this deck, guys, is always going to be Goblin Barrel. It's totally fine to start off with a Goblin Barrel. Goblin Barrel Ice Spirit's fine. As you can see, Rocket is going to be a big answer for Balloon in these matchups. You do have the Tesla, and that's going to be... The Rocket and the Tesla are really going to be your main ways of dealing with the enemy balloons. Pretty much my rule of thumb is, you know, if you don't have the Tesla close to cycle, like one card away in your cycle, go ahead and just rocket that balloon just to be safe. There's no point in trying to, you know, cycle to that Tesla for no reason. If you can deal with it with the rocket, that's a totally fine way to deal with it. There's no point in trying to be fancy and getting a balloon hit on your tower, because that can, you know, really just be devastating for the match. So as you can see, he had to waste his bar barrel earlier, so we were able to get some good chip with that Goblin Barrel. He's going in with another balloon, but we hadn't used our Tesla at this point, and our Tesla is just going to be able to roast that thing. Tesla is a great answer for just a naked balloon. It will not get any damage on the tower, death damage, or just regular balloon damage. So guys, we are starting off this match really strong. But in double elixir, his small spells are going to start being cycled through faster in this match, and it's going to be a lot harder to break through with those barrels, as you'll be able to see in this matchup. We placed the Valkyrie in front of the Princess there to try and guess his Musketeer for that Princess, because we thought he was going to try and snipe that Princess, but he didn't. So well played on his part. We're going to pre-place the Tesla, getting ready for that balloon push. And he actually goes opposite lane. So this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. The opponent went opposite lane of my Tesla because I pre-placed it, and it's totally fine. We just rocket that balloon, and Rocket is a very solid answer to that. So we just keep pressuring him, getting that bar barrel out of hand, so he won't be able to, you know, snipe princesses and stuff like that. And another big thing with this deck, guys, is unless you're playing another bait deck where you always need that log in hand, chip damage with the log is really big. You know, if you get 5 or 6 log hits on their tower in a game, that's the equivalent of a rocket on the tower, guys. So whenever you can get some log value and hit the tower at the same time, that's a great option. And there he gave us 7 elixir for that rocket, so that was some awesome rocket value. He's getting some tower chip with that miner though. And now we're just going to kind of start cycling princesses and goblin barrels. We got that Tesla to deal with that push right there. He is going to snipe our princess, but we're going to be able to still deal with that push pretty strongly. We're just going to keep pressuring him here with the Goblin Barrel. He's going to have to snowball it. And Ice Golem as well, because Snowball will not deal with the Goblin Barrel by itself. We're going to go with the Ice Spirit to block that Musketeer. And as you can see, when I log that Musketeer, if you want to replay that back, I hit the Musketeer and I placed that log to where it would hit the tower as well, just to get more chip damage. Because in a lot of these matchups with this bait deck, guys, you're going to be playing... These decks are based on their defense. You play them aggressively and you cycle back to your win condition fast. But these decks, you don't really want to tower trade with these decks. You want to get a lot of 1-0 victories. If you're just a main, like, 3 crown kind of guy, this is probably not the deck for you. You're going to want to be having a lot of 1 tower win games. That's just the way these decks are played. Because they're a lot stronger in the single elixir, and if you start playing a lot of games that go into double and triple elixir, that means that you're probably going up against a lot of golem matchups, and you don't really want to be going into a 2 crown tower situation with golem. It just will not work out in your favor a lot of the times. And as you can see, we just throw that last rocket at the tower just to get that last amount of chip, but we had the strong lead in that matchup anyways. So let's get into the last match, guys. And for this last match, we are going to be playing Graveyard, I believe. So just throwing out the crying emote, being a little, energetic to start off the game. And by this point, okay, when he throws the bar barrel and the tornado, pretty much I know that it's either Golem or Graveyard, because that's just, those two cards are a staple for those decks. And then when he plays the Knight to take care of my Princess, I definitely know that it's the classic Graveyard deck. Pretty much, guys, you can be pretty aggressive with the Princesses at the bridge if you know it's going to be aggravating for him to deal with. Just to, keep baiting out with small spells or to make him use one of his tanks like he just had to. With this Graveyard deck that he's playing, Tesla is actually very aggravating for him to deal with, as you can see. It's just, roasting his troops at the bridge there. He does get some pretty good chip on me, but nothing too terrible. And with this matchup, with Graveyards, you're gonna want to be playing a lot of Princesses in the opposite lane of his pushes, just to be, peppering his pushes at the bridge. And if you can cycle back to another Princess by the time he goes in for a Graveyard, you're gonna want to be placing that Princess behind the King Tower, because then he can't poison your Princess or he'll activate the King Tower and the Princess will be able to pepper the Graveyard pretty good. But your main answer to Graveyard is going to be the Goblin Gang. And as you can see, my Princess placement right there was pretty bad. I accidentally put my Princess on the same in the same lane as his pushes, which is not what you want to do against Graveyard. It ended up not being too bad of a mistake. I was able to recover pretty good with the Tesla there. And he gave me that rocket value with the Knight, and I know that's his only big tank for the Graveyards in this deck, so I was pretty confident that I was going to be able to defend this next Graveyard. So he goes in with the preemptive poison. If he preemptively poisons you, if the Graveyard player preemptively poisons you, then go ahead and go in with that Log. That's the great thing about this deck. You have a couple of good answers to Graveyard. You have your Valkyrie, your Log, your Princess, your Goblin Gang. So if he goes in with the poison preemptively for your Goblin Gang, it's totally okay to just wait a second for the skeletons to build up a little bit and then Log. So guys, just kind of like the last match, I realized that in Double Elixir, he's got the NATO, he's got the Bar Barrel, he's just got too many answers for my Goblin Barrel, so I'm not going to be able to break through. So as you can see there, when he dropped that Baby Dragon behind the tower, I was like, oh yeah, that's great value there. I'm going to be able to take out 4 Elixir and get great tower damage. And then I just, that Log chip damage, as you can see right there, just keeps building up and building up. And I'm almost 1 rocket away from being able to win this match. So I'm just going to keep pressuring him. I think I'm like 2 damage away to being able to rocket, and I get back to the Log. And that's going to be GG's, guys. And really, guys, the biggest takeaway is just focus. If you're playing this deck, just focus on your defense. I can't stress that enough with this deck. The awesome thing about this original Logbait variation with the Valkyrie and the Tesla Tower is you're going to be able to get some great defensive sequences, especially in the early game when you defend for so cheap and get those good elixir exchanges with your opponent. You're going to be able to defend and go in with great pushes. A great tactic that I didn't really talk about in the video, which I should have, is if you defend with your Valkyrie and your Valkyrie has some health left over, once it crosses the bridge, if you'll throw the Goblin Barrel when the Valkyrie crosses the bridge, you'll have a tank for that Goblin Barrel. So that's a great tactic. Another one is most of the time you're going to be playing your Princess in the back for defense, but if you cycle back to another Princess Or if you just feel like playing a princess at the bridge in certain situations just to get that tower chip, that's totally okay. But you don't want to get too aggressive with your princesses every time to where they just know you're going to place that princess at the bridge, for one. And the second reason is because princess is just such a strong card defensively, and it's going to force an answer from the opponent. And most of the time, that answer is going to be a small spell, which is going to be able to free up your win condition in that Goblin Barrel. And you're going to be able to get, great chip on the tower. So Princess, I would say in 70% of the situations, you're going to be using her as a defensive card in this deck. Because she just has so much range, so much splash. And it's going to be very aggravating once you start stacking those princesses up, especially in double elixir time. Your opponent is just going to be able to your opponent's going to be forced to answer those princesses, because if you just stack too many princesses up and cycle to too many, then you're just going to have so much map control, and it's going to be just too overwhelming for your opponent to deal with. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, subscribe, share the video, and if you didn't enjoy any of the content, just please comment below what I could have done better to keep you coming back for the next one. And I'll see you in the next one, guys. Thanks.